everyone, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Ken Countess. I'm Managing Director of the Countess Group. We are a full-service marketing and communications company. We're based in Central Florida, and I'm very glad that you joined us today. Here's a copy of my contact information. And as you can see, of course, we've got the phone number and email and website listed. I wanted you to know, too, that we are Master Certified experts, Master Certified by Constant Contact, and we're also Microsoft partners and Google partners. So if you have a question about how to use any of those kinds of products, feel free to reach out to us at any time. And you can see that we are very active on social media as well. The 7 channels that we are most active on are listed there on screen. So I encourage you to connect with us and follow us on social media. I mentioned a few moments ago that I am Master Certified by Constant Contact. They put us through a very rigorous vetting and training process, and I'm one of only about 20 people in the world with the certification. So if you're currently using Constant Contact, and I know that most of you who have joined us today are already using it, feel free to reach out to us. We actually will give you an offer to join our VIP loyalty program, which will give you $2,000 worth of services completely free of charge just for joining. But here's what we're here for today. We've designed a very, very special webinar that we've only selectively invited people to, and we had a terrific response just the same. And this is called Overcoming List Fatigue. And how is it that you really get more out of your email marketing efforts? And how exactly can you re-energize your email campaigns? It's a topic that is coming up more and more frequently as people start to begin to understand how really powerful an email marketing campaign can be if you do it right. Just a little bit about my background. If you have not joined me for one of these webinars before, my credentials include 25 years in corporate America, working for well-known companies such as Motorola, where I spent over 20 years. And also I spent time at Marriott and at CVS Caremark, and Datamax O'Neill was among the other corporations that I've worked for as well. And we've been consulting since 2001, and what you see on screen now are some of the logos of the better-known clients, but mostly we've worked with dozens, if not hundreds, of small to medium-sized businesses and nonprofits, just like yours. And what makes that interesting and notable and important to you is that as a small business owner or mid-sized business owner or someone who works for one of those or a nonprofit, I bring the perspective of organizations that are both large and small. And having been a solopreneur, if you will, for the last 14 years, and we actually have a staff of 5 people, I totally understand and get the challenges of being a small business owner. And as a marketing department, and sometimes you may be a marketing department of 1, or maybe you have a few different people working with you. But the challenges of marketing today are very, very different than they were even just a couple of years ago, where marketing has become much more complex, much more challenging, much more rewarding if you have the time to work on it and get the results you're seeking. So what I'm here to tell you is that if you need help with any kind of marketing activity, and this goes beyond email marketing and social media, give us a call, because we are in a position to help you out and help you achieve your goals. I do know, as I mentioned, that most of you are already using Constant Contact. The odds are pretty strong that you are using it for email marketing. And I want to just remind you that within your Constant Contact platform, there are other products that you can use as well, including offers and promotions, events and registration. When you signed up to join this webinar today, you actually were using my Constant Contact account, my event spot registration form. So I'm sitting here with a printout of everybody that signed up for the event. And it's very easy to use, and it's very much integrated into your Constant Contact account. I do other webinars and seminars on these other products as well, and I'd encourage you, if you haven't already used them, try them out. And one other area just to brush on is feedback and surveys. If you care what your customers or your donors or volunteers, if you're a nonprofit, are thinking, it's a fantastic tool to make sure that you understand where your opportunities for growth are, and maybe even where you may have some shortfalls as well. I have a note here that someone's having problems accessing the webinar. Dial-in, speakers, headset, speakers only. As long as they're watching online, opening up the browser, those options are in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. So you do have an option to go into listen-only mode, and that will enable you to make sure that you're not interrupting any of the other activity. Okay, let's get started. This is all about how to leverage the power of your email list, how to get them up to date, how to refresh them, but really how to energize your email marketing efforts. So here's the agenda. This is what we're going to be covering during this webinar. First, I'm going to go through some interesting facts about email marketing today, some things that may actually surprise you. Second, if you're running email campaigns and you're finding that your results are deteriorating, you're probably wondering, why do results deteriorate over time? And so you're in the right place. Next, we'll go through monitoring your analytics. And analytics, that's the data that's behind everything that you do. Next, I'm going to ask you, what's your story? Let's get a feel for how your campaigns are performing, because that will give me a great sense of how we can help you. The next area is amping up your results. I'll give you some very specific strategies and tools that will enable you to get better results from your campaign. And then we'll talk about ensuring success, because you'll get some tips, you'll see they work, but then the next piece of that is, how do you do this on a sustained level? And at the end, we'll talk about some additional strategies, and then we'll go through some next steps. If you've joined us in the last few minutes, go ahead and use the Ask a Question button. That's in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. In the gray area there, the Ask a Question button has white lettering. Click that and jot down for me, if you will, what kind of a business or nonprofit you work for, and how well or how much you're using email marketing today. That'll give me a good sense of the skill level of those folks that are on this webinar. Okay, so I'll thank you in advance for typing that in while I'm talking, and let's get underway. Let's talk about email marketing today. These are some really interesting and challenging times, and people sometimes ask me, in fact, I get asked this a lot, is email marketing really working anymore? And I'm here to tell you that without any question whatsoever, email marketing is very much alive and well. There are 4.2 billion email accounts worldwide. There are 2.5 billion email users. And the difference there is that there are many people that have more than one email account. Email is so powerful today because in today's world, marketing is about eliciting a physical and measurable response. And when you send out an email, you should be deriving some very important data that will help you build your business or nonprofit. And this response I'm talking about is a click on the email, a call, a journey to your website, maybe somebody showing up at your office. But all of this activity is very, very measurable. And this is something that you really need to be focused on. Marty, thank you very much for that comment. I appreciate it. Email marketing today is so widely used. In fact, 87% of email users are adults. What that means for us as marketers is that email is being used by people who have the power to generate revenue for us. 72% of U.S. online adults send or receive personal emails via smartphone at least weekly. So this is a matter of understanding that people today are on the move and they are looking at email while on the go. Email has been found to be almost 40 times better at acquiring new customers than social media, specifically Facebook and Twitter. And 81% of U.S. digital shoppers surveyed were at least somewhat likely to make additional purchases either online or in a store as a result of targeted emails. So what this means is that when you use email marketing effectively and appropriately, the odds are very strong that you'll get increased engagement from your existing customers, and if you're a nonprofit, from donors. And there's a higher propensity for them to do more business with you. The Content Marketing Institute is an organization that's been around a long time. They're very well respected. And I pulled this chart out of one of their recent newsletters that said, with respect to email, most organizations, in fact, more than 3/4 of every single segment are using email marketing today. And here's some other data. 77% of consumers prefer to be marketed to via email marketing. This is a channel preferences study that was done by ExactTarget, another very well-known and respected organization in the field. And what this means is that all of us, we're all consumers, that by and large, we prefer to be marketed to through email. And this is over things like print advertising, broadcast media, outdoor advertising, social media for sure. So this is very important data for you to remember. And 42% of businesses say email is one of their most effective lead generation channels. But that number goes up more than double when we talk about B2B marketers. They cite email as their most effective lead generation tactic. One other piece of data is that email marketing has an ROI of 43 to 1. What that means is, for every dollar you spend on email marketing, if you're doing it right, and this is on average, you should get $43 in return. Now, there are lots of studies out there. Some of them even suggest that email's ROI is over 80 to 1. So, what is it about email? How is it that it's so effective? Well, take a look at this chart. I actually pulled this chart earlier today, and it was a study done by Epsilon, and it was published this month. And this is with respect to email trends over the last 2 years. And take a look at the top bar in red. It says that that deliverability is extraordinarily high, well over 90%. That means that these are emails that are not bouncing. The open rates are hovering about the 31% area. It wavers a little bit, but by and large, about 30% across the board is the average open rate for emails. And the click-through rates, they seem to be a little bit low. And primarily, that's because many organizations really just don't understand how to get the click-through rate up. And that's part of what we're going to cover during this webinar. So those are great results, but as with everything else, your results may vary. And so what I want to be able to do for you is to show you the way that you can get that red line curve that's heading downward on this slide to go upward with results that you should be achieving. All right, so let's get into what is causing results to deteriorate these days. By the way, there's someone that has their microphone on or they're dialed in on the telephone, and if you could please put that phone on mute or microphone on mute, that would be really appreciated. Okay, so what causes results to deteriorate? Well, we've got several top causes. One of the very first ones, and the reason that I asterisk this very first one, is that we are continually competing for attention. This is all about a battle of priorities. We are all extraordinarily busy. It seems that we're busier and busier with each passing day, doesn't it? Well, So that's the first thing we need to think about. The second is the volume of email that we get. I get 550 emails on average every day. So if you're sending me an email, you're competing with a lot of other email. The volume of email continues to go higher. It is in the billions and billions every month. The identity of the sender, who sent you that email, is going to have a large impact on whether you decide to open up the email. 68% of us decide whether to open an email based on who it's from. How often you as the sender send emails. That's what this frequency of emails is about. The more emails you send, that may have a negative impact on your results. You need to be very conscious of that. Boring subject lines. Boy, if there's one thing that will help you reduce your email effectiveness, it's having a subject line that's boring. And we'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Timing has a direct impact. When you sent that email has a direct impact on whether you are going to get an email opened by a reader. And of course, content is extraordinarily important. There are lots of different areas about content we're going to cover in a few moments, among them being the length of the email. We all try to cram as much as we can into an email. I'm going to give you some tips in a few minutes about how to make sure that your email is read from top to bottom. And then last, but certainly not the least, it's the subject of our webinar today, is list fatigue. When you get results deteriorating, it's oftentimes because of your list. And what winds up happening is you get people who tend to nod off. They just don't pay attention to your emails anymore. So what exactly is list fatigue anyway? Well, let's put a couple of things out here to define list fatigue. Symptom number one, that your list is getting old and stale, obviously, is that your open rates are declining. Symptom number two of a fatigued list is that your click rates are declining or even have dropped to zero. And symptom number three is that when you find that people aren't opening your email and you do a resend, that they're still not getting opened. If you hit any of these three symptoms, then you're definitely experiencing fatigue in your list. So now let's talk about how we get around this whole notion of getting an old and stale list. Monitoring your analytics is incredibly important. And the analytics is looking at the data. With today's marketing tools, we have a real advantage over what we had a few years ago in that we can remove emotion and an assumption from the decision-making process. Everything we do today, and particularly using tools like email, enable us to make some great decisions about how to continue to market our business or our organization. And part of that has to do with making sure that we consistently look at our data. This is a real-time screenshot. The green line going across the top of the page is real-life statistics on open rates. And you can see that earlier I had mentioned that a good open rate may be as high as 30%. This is across all industries. And you could see in this chart that the open rates are well over 40%. And the click-through rates are those that are listed in the, that are noted in the orange line going across the page. And you saw in the chart earlier that 4%, and this is globally, 4% was a pretty good or average click rate. And here you can see by and large the click rates are much higher. Well, the point here is that you need to be looking at your data to see how you stack up versus your industry average, which is denoted by the dotted lines running across the bottom of the page. So how now do we test for list fatigue? Well, here's test number one. When you're And when increasing or decreasing your sends, in other words, how frequently you send an email, do your opens and clicks go up or down? When you send more, it's possible that your open rates will go up, but the odds are pretty good they'll go down. If you decrease your sends, the opposite may hold true. Also, is that your clicks and your opens may actually go up. And we could talk about strategies for why that happens. Test number 2, do your unsubscribes go up when you send more often? Meaning, the people that have been opening up your emails are getting tired of getting your emails, and so they unsubscribe. Tests number 3 and number 4 have to do with the number of spam notifications that you're getting. And does the send time of day and day of week affect your results? Because you'll find that there are very specific strategies that may indicate whether your list is fatigued or not, but it may actually have much more to do with when you're sending your email out. So I encourage you, in fact, I implore you to take a look at your data. Take a look when you're logged into your email marketing account. Go over to the reports area under email and take a look at that chart and examine closely whether your open rates are increasing or not. What you're looking at right here is a series of emails that were sent out to an affinity group. This was a newsletter sent out to Motorola alumni each month. And you could see that they have them titled, and I actually include the day of the week and the time of the day that I send out these emails. They're in the email name. And if you take a look at the opens, you'll see that by and large they're fairly consistent, but these are not really in chronological order, although they're close. And what you'll see is that they range from about 31% up to about 37%. So it's pretty steady. The other thing, though, that's even more important than the open rate is the click rate. The open rate does not help your cash register ring. The click rate does. We get false positives on open rates too because so many people are opening up the email on a smartphone but not really reading it until later. Okay, so now it's your turn. What's your story? Give me a feel now for what your open rates are. Use the Ask a Question button in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Or if your open rates are increasing, use that white dot down at the bottom of your screen. Slide it over to the hot area if your open rates are increasing. Slide it over to the cold area if your open rates are decreasing. Okay, it looks like on average, just using the meeting temperature slide bar, and that's that white dot down at the bottom. Go ahead and use that actively during the course of the webinar. It looks like on average, people's open rates are decreasing. Well, how long is your email? That's a really, really big impact, very impactful on whether your emails are going to continue to be welcomed by your readers. And next, what are your click rates? The real question is, do you have interactive, clickable content? In short, you need to give your readers a reason to take action. You need to be sure that this call to action, or CTA as it's called in the acronym, you need to be sure that that call to action is visible on a mobile device. Mobile devices are smartphones, tablets, laptops. You need to be sure that if there's an action you want your reader to take, that it sits on the screen when they open up your email. Because if not, you're setting yourself up for failure. So if your click rates are not high, if your open rates are not high, if these are not generating the kind of results that you're expecting, then let's work now on how to amp up your results. So how do we do that? The first thing we're going to do is give you some strategies on your existing email lists. The first thing I want you to do is check your bounces. Look at your data and take a look at the bounces and look at the reasons why your emails are bouncing. And reach out to those people by phone. For business email addresses, find out if the person is still at that company or nonprofit. If the same person is not there, if they've been replaced, find out who took his or her place and get that new email address. And then, is that organization's email server blocking you? There are several companies that the IT department has blocked the email that comes from a certain domain. And you can have your email service provider contact the IT department of that company and have them release the block. If it's personal email addresses that are bouncing, call the individual. Remember, they have opted in to your list. And find out if the person changed email providers. Maybe they went from AOL to Gmail, or from Yahoo to Gmail, or some other service provider. That may be the reason that their emails are bouncing back to you. Once you find out the status on those emails that are not working, remove them from your list. All they're doing is cluttering, and they're giving you bad information about the real effectiveness of your list. Let's take the next piece of reviewing your email list. The age of your email list really does matter. If you've been using the same email list for more than a year, the odds are very high that you've got some bad data. In fact, there are some estimates that say as many as 30% of people on your email list no longer want your email. They've dropped off the list. Why? Because reader interests change. So send an email preferences campaign at least every 3 months to make sure your list is still current. And basically, it's a simple email that asks, do you want to still remain on our list? Next, segment your list. This is an area that can help you get dramatically better results. How do you segment your list? Well, if you're a for-profit organization, segment by customer type, prospects, and so on, or segment by interest or buying habits. What do I mean in terms of segment by interest? Let's say, for example, you're a travel agent and your newsletter, each time you send it out, has various options for your readers. Maybe there are cruises, maybe there are plane trips, maybe there are kayak trips, maybe there's camping, and so on. When you see what each person on your list is clicking on, you can then segment your list so that you're only sending that person the things that they're most interested in. And I can assure you, if you do that, you'll get higher buy ratios. If you're a nonprofit organization, segment your list based on donors, volunteers, board members, and so on. You can segment by all kinds of different stakeholders as well. Next is, when we think about amping up results, we need to be thinking about, does the person recognize who they're getting the email from? So that's why I asked the question, who are you? You need to be recognizable. You need to understand whether when someone is opening up an email that comes from you, that they're opening it up because it's you, they know your organization, or maybe they know your brand. And if you're not sure which way you're being recognized best, then use your name with a comma and then your organization or your brand name. And that will increase the likelihood that you'll get higher engagement on your email campaigns. Next, the subject line is crucial. Keep your subject line short. And if you can't keep it really, really short, at least make it something memorable and searchable. I'll explain what I mean by that in just a moment. what you need to use is the 2-2-2 principle. And what that stands for is you have about 2 seconds to get somebody's attention so they open up that email today. You have 2 seconds, so try to get it done in 2 words so they open it today. And that does not mean that the subject line should only be 2 words. Those first 2 words need to be action-oriented so that you'll get somebody's attention and they'll at least read the rest of the subject line. That doesn't guarantee that they're going to open the email, just that they're going to see the rest of the subject line if you capture their interest. So I've got 3 quick examples down below. Under no, monthly newsletter is not going to get anybody interested in your email. That's a sure way to get your email list fatigued. Instead, do something like 3 ways to whatever. When you use a number and a word, that tends to get people's attention. Upcoming event is another no. Maybe it's a blood drive you have coming up. So make it action-oriented. Give somebody a sense of what that's about. Joe's Restaurant News, again, not a big deal, but if he had a new menu, that might be something that would spark interest. When I say make it searchable, what that has to do with is if you're continually sending emails out and they have the same general feel to themselves on the subject line, if someone remembers getting an email from you, but they don't remember, they didn't open it at the time, but they do remember the first couple of words, you want to be sure that you make your subject line memorable enough so that when they are ready to go back and find your email, they can do a search in their inbox and find that valuable information that you took so much time to create and send. Next, streamlining your content is another way to keep your list from being fatigued. 4 tips here. Less is more, always. Keep your emails short and to the point. 78% of people do not scroll to the end of an email. So what that means is no matter how valuable you think all of this content is that you want to send, people aren't going to read it. They'll get to the first couple of paragraphs, and by and large, they'll stop. So save your time, save your energy, save your real estate, and get your results up by putting less in your email. Of course, there are exceptions to this, but by and large, this is best practice. Make sure you use a good balance of text and images. Keep your emails focused. Don't be all over the map. Stick to the core of your business or what your business mission is, and make it mobile friendly. All email service providers today have templates that enable you to make your emails mobile friendly. Remember what I mentioned earlier, 72% of adults are now reading and sending emails from their mobile device. Calls to action are critically important. Make them highly visible. Make them, in the newspaper business, we'd call it above the fold. What that means is when someone opens up your email, that they see that call to action, the register now, the buy now, the click here for more information, that it's visible on their screen, and make it easily clickable. Many of us run into the situation where the text is so small that someone who's watching or looking at the email on a mobile device can't get to that clickable link easily enough. So make sure it's easily clickable. Use a font that's appropriate in size. 11 point or larger is best practice. Also, don't give too many choices. People tend to freeze if you give them too many choices of things to do with the email. So keep it simple. Next, let's talk about list size. We're talking about fatigued email lists. List size is an important element, but it's not the only thing. So a couple of major points here. First is make sure that you use clean list building practices. It's about quality, It's not about quantity. It doesn't matter if your list is 50 people or 5,000 people. If these are 50 people that you know are advocates, raving fans, that's what you need. When you grow your list, there are many different ways that you can grow your list. And let's talk for a moment about the best ways to make your list grow. There are more traditional ways to do it. Growing your list in a traditional sense may include sign-up sheets at your store or at events that you're conducting. Maybe you have sign-up pages on your website. But there are some more unique ways to collect email addresses as well. Yeah, you can use sign-up sheets at your store. You can have people drop a business card into a bucket. Yes, you can have sign-up pages on your website. Have the sign-up pages on every page of your website. You can create special landing pages. You can use social media, use Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest as ways that you can drive more traffic to your email marketing newsletter list. If you're in a retail environment, you may have seen, if you've done any shopping in the last year, how many of the big box brands are now encouraging people to provide their email address so they can email you their receipt. Well, they're not just simply doing you a favor or saving paper. They're building their email list because they know that most people, when asked, will provide an email address. In fact, the number is 57% of us will provide an email address if somebody asks us for it. I would also encourage you to use videos. If you're somewhat technically adept and you know how to create a video that you can post on YouTube or Vimeo or any of the other sites that house videos, make sure that you add a way to have someone join your list, maybe at the end of the video. You can have in your spoken word, but also subtitled, join our list, go to this website, or use it in the caption text down at the bottom of your video as well. We also do a very special presentation called 60 Ways to Grow Your List. I'd encourage you to go to our website and see when our next presentation of 60 ways to grow your list will be held. I think you'll learn a lot by going there. Next, in terms of getting more juice out of your existing email list and not getting it so fatigued, is with respect to images. Make sure that you use images properly. Screen real estate is truly at a premium. When you use your logo, and you should always have your logo in your email, but keep it small. Keep it small, but keep it recognizable so that you can leverage your brand, but not at the expense of valuable reader content. We all love our logos, but our readers really don't care. They want to recognize who the email is coming from, so don't allow the logo to take up a major part of the screen. Be sure you balance images and text and use what's called alt text. What the alt text does is you have to understand that 67% of us do not have images activated on our email client. So in that event where someone receives the email but they don't see images, you should have the text in there as backup to let them know what the images are that they're missing. So if you do all of these items, what you'll wind up doing is eliminating those tired aspects of your email list. You will overcome list fatigue with some more energized people on the list that really do care about what they're receiving. So now that you have those basic tips, how do we ensure success on a long-term basis? Well, first, the use of mobile technology is only going to continue to increase. So be sure that you always use mobile-friendly templates. And those are the email templates that resize appropriately for the screen that the email is being viewed on. Be sure that you avoid the temptation of having too much content in your emails. Those tend to turn people off, and they don't read all the way down. I mentioned the number is very big. 78% do not read down to the bottom of an email. And be sure that you use correct font sizes. 11 point at a minimum is what you need to be using these days. How else do you ensure success? You test, test, test. Use A/B testing or ABC testing. Test your subject lines. Have the same email go out where the content's the same, but you test the effectiveness of different subject lines. Test for different days of the week and times of the day and see what works best. And test the images that you're using to see which are most engaging. Always send a preview of that email to yourself. Make sure that it looks well when you receive it on a laptop, a mobile, a desktop machine, and so on. Always, always view that email on a mobile device. The beauty of doing this testing is that with testing, you can rework your electronic communication. You can reword it. You can move elements to another spot, and then try again and make sure that you're getting the results that you're really seeking. And when you're testing, it's important to realize that a no is not a failure. It's just simply great insight and excellent data that you're getting at very low cost. Monitor, I can't emphasize this enough, monitor your data regularly. Make sure you see the trends. Make sure that you understand how the testing you're doing is having an impact on the results that you achieve. And be sure that you also take advantage of the power of email and social. You have to use both. Social media amplifies your email, and the social media activity will drive traffic back to your list to grow it with people that are newly finding you, and they're interested in the content that they found that you posted on social media. So take advantage of that. Social media does not drive revenue the way people think email does. But if your future customers and donors find you on social and they link back to your email newsletter, you're likely to get incredibly better results. So as we come down toward the conclusion of all of this, it's to re-emphasize the fact that building an email list is not a set it and forget it activity. You need to constantly look at the list, prune it, work on growing your list. It is probably one of the most powerful marketing assets that you have in your toolbox. It will generate new business and make you a real success. Now, nothing goes in a straight upward line. You do need to do some testing, but take advantage of the help that we're here to offer you, and we'll help you achieve the success that you're looking for at a much more rapid rate. So then, what are your next steps? The first thing is to remember that email marketing can consistently produce a return on your investment of over 43 to 1. That data that I showed you earlier was an average. We have clients that are generating extraordinary returns. Here's one of our clients who, in a 6-month period of time, generated $250,000 in incremental revenue. And if you think about the fact that an email marketing campaign starts at about $20 a month, and this individual is paying about $100 a month because of the size of her list. So $100 times 6 is $600 over that 6-month period, and it generated $250,000 in revenue. That's because she got coaching to help her understand how to use this most effectively. I would encourage you to join our list, get on our email list. We provide a free marketing newsletter each and every month. I encourage you, just as you did today, to attend our free seminars and webinars. We hold live classes. We do about 60 to 80 live classes in a classroom setting every year, in addition to webinars like these, which we're doing about 40 this year. So you'll have access to our calendar, and you'll be able to sign up for additional classes that you can attend when it's convenient for you. I'd encourage you to join our VIP Partner Loyalty Program. This is just like a hotel loyalty program, like Marriott Rewards or an airline loyalty program. We have over 1,100 members. It's free to join, and there are no membership fees. And when you become one of our VIPs, you get up to $2,000 in free services. Just send me an email, and we'll give you details. I mentioned that you'll be able to sign up for additional seminars and webinars, and here's a link that you'll be able to go to after this webinar and sign up for any or all of these at your pleasure. If you're not yet using email marketing, I would encourage you to sign up for a 60-day free trial. You would go to trythetoolkit.com, and no salespeople will call you, and we'll give you some free help to help you get your first newsletter out the door. But if you're really ready to get started, service starts at $20 a month. There's a different website to go to. It's actually a little bit easier. It's toolkit.today, not toolkit.com. Toolkit.today will get you to a website where you can sign up right away and take advantage of the next offers I'm about to show you. The first one is you'll get a free email campaign template that matches the look of your website. And this is a $199 value. The offer expires at the end of this month. Again, you have to use toolkit.today. It's not toolkit.today.com. Toolkit.today. Second, this free website match template enables you to have an email that looks just like your website. So take a look at the image on the left. That is a sample website. And the image on the right is an email template, reusable, that we'll create on your behalf. And you can use that again and again and again. And it's toolkit.today. The next bonus is, if you get a paid subscription today, we'll give you an hour of free coaching to get your first newsletter out. And the third bonus is that you can get 30% off your first 3 months of Constant Contact if you sign up at toolkit.today. Again, it's not .com. Toolkit.today. And use promo code SEP2014, like September 2014, SEP2014. So to summarize, you'll get 30% off your first 3 months exclusively from the Countess Group. We'll also give you a free reusable campaign template, plus an hour of free help live. It's a $375 value. Remember that we're master certified by Constant Contact, so if you have any questions at all about how to get your campaign really amped up and running effectively at maximum effectiveness, give us a call or send us an email. And here's an offer for all of you that have attended today. We'll give you a free review of your most recent email. Just send me an email, and I'll give you details on how that works. Again, it's totally free. So if you're not yet using an email marketing service, it really is an easy decision to get started. There's free help, no contracts, no risk at all. I want to thank you for attending today. We will have time to take questions. If you need a speaker for an event, let's say you're a member of a Rotary or a Chamber of Commerce, or you're sponsoring something at a trade association, or maybe you're going to a trade show and you need a speaker at one of your events, contact me. We do live events. Most all of them are free of charge. I want to leave you with a message that says that this really is easy. I hope you took some good notes. You really can do this. Just keep it simple. There's lots of free help out there. This is where they're all located. Classes and seminars and webinars and blogs, and go to our website and you'll find some additional help available for you as well. So to close, I'll just ask you, what is it that you're waiting for? Start today. The worst thing you could do is no action at all. Again, if you need a speaker for an event, please let me know. And if you need more information, feel free to contact us. Email, phone, go to our website. We've got some time for questions, so please go ahead and ask questions in the Ask a Question box in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. I'll leave you with my contact information. Go ahead and jot that down, and let's stand by for any questions. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. I really appreciate your participation.